my name's Ellie, and I normally do a podcast, but today I'm just going to chat with you about commercial sock yarn and how it wears. So my husband wears a lot of my hand knit socks, and I wanted to share with you my thoughts on a few of the makes that are most widely available. So I'm going to go through each pair and talk about what they were like to knit, and also how they're wearing, whether they're pilling and things. So just beware, these have been worn but they are clean. So they might look a bit horrible, but you can just understand what I'm trying to do reviewing each of the socks. So these pair are a Knit Picks Felici sock, and I knitted these for Adam a couple of years ago, and they have been worn quite a lot, and you can see that they've pilled quite a lot. Now Knit Picks Felici are quite soft sock yarns, so they are really nice to knit with, and also Adam always says, oh, I like those because they're really nice and soft to wear, but of course because they are slightly softer they do pill quite a lot. You can see on the back here that there is quite a big pill coming up where it's been rubbing against the back of his shoe, for instance, but I do think he picks these out of the drawer quite a lot. So there's no holes coming as yet, but they are a little bit worse for wear with the pilling that's starting to occur. But of course I did enjoy knitting these quite a lot, and he has worn them quite a lot, so I would definitely recommend Knit Picks Felici. Some people say that it doesn't wear quite as well, obviously as something that's a very hard yarn to knit with in the first place, but because I enjoy knitting with a sock yarn, it's sort of one of my favourite choices really. So sock number 2, these are Drops Fable socks. So Drops Fable is a really low price point, but actually I think that it is really quite a nice yarn. So it's it's not a particularly soft yarn, but I don't think it's the roughest I've used. So I'd say it was sort of between the softness of Opal and West Yorkshire Spinners really, not quite as rough as West Yorkshire Spinners. It hasn't pilled lots, and I made these for my husband a couple of years ago, and they've worn really quite well. I've actually, in the heel is a West Yorkshire Spinners yarn that I've paired up with it. But these have been pretty good, so I'd say Drops Fable, especially because they're quite inexpensive, it's a brilliant yarn to pick for socks. Slightly toothy but not too toothy, I'd say. So one of my favourite sock yarns is Opal, because it's sort of got slightly more soft than all the other fairly durable sock yarns, but at the same time they're really you know, they really wear quite well. So this pair is one that I knitted a few years ago, but actually this pair here, this is the first pair of socks I ever knitted and I knitted them for Adam, and they're out of Opal yarn, and you can see some pilling here. You can see some pilling, but considering they're sort of 10 years old, they've lasted really well. I must confess, Adam doesn't walk long distances in these socks, so they don't get as much wear as some people give them, but as a comparison to the other sock yarns, I think Opal is a nice happy medium between being soft and durable as well. Next I've got to show you is some Trekking XXL. There's a similar amount of wear to the Opal sock yarn, but it's not quite as soft. If I focus in a little bit, you can see that there is some pilling there. But the one thing that I noticed about these socks when I washed them, that the colour came out really badly. For a commercial sock yarn I wouldn't expect that to happen, so not necessarily my favourite sock yarn. So that's Trekking XXL. So these are a pair of West Yorkshire Spinners that I knitted Adam, must have been about 3 years ago maybe. I really like your West Yorkshire Spinners because they do some nice yarns that sort of stripe, beautiful colourways. I've got some Christmas ones that I've knitted from there. They seem to be quite durable as well, and to be honest though, they're a bit rougher than some of the other sock yarns, but I think because of that there's a lot less pilling. So maybe you can see There is some slight pilling, but not much at all. I have some ice yarn, which is another very inexpensive yarn as well, and that's worn relatively well. Not quite as good as the West Yorkshire Spinners, I don't think. And that's another one that's quite a rough yarn as well, so not as pleasant to knit with, but really quite durable, quite a toothy yarn. I have a pair of Lamas Stop Iris socks, and they are about 3 years old. They've pilled quite a bit, but I did enjoy knitting these. I enjoyed the way that the colours vary, and I think I'd knit with it again. It's not the one, it has pilled quite a bit though, so not the most durable yarn. I think West Yorkshire Spinners is slightly more durable, but again, I think I'd buy that again. So the last pair I've got to show you is a Sirdar Heart and Soul, and they're a bit squidged in because they are ribbed socks. And they are quite nice colourways, but what I remember when I was knitting these is that they were quite rough to knit with, and also the yarn in some areas got quite splitty, and like as if the plies, there wasn't all the plies there in certain spans of the yarn, so I wasn't very pleased with this yarn in some of the ball. But again, they're relatively durable. They have pilled a little bit. I think that they were similar to the Lamas Stop socks. So there we are. I think that's a range of the socks that Adam sort of wears on a regular basis. I think my favourites personally are the Knit Picks Felici. Even though it's bobbly, but I do like to knit with it, and Adam enjoys wearing the softness. Opal yarn, because it has got that sort of midpoint between a little bit softer than some of the toothier yarns, and beautiful colourways as well. The Drops Fable, because it is a low price point and they've got nice colours. And I also like West Yorkshire Spinners as well because of the lovely colourways and the very high durability. But these are slightly rougher. So if I was going to group them in roughness, I'd go for the Opal, and the Knit Picks Felici are softer. Of course, the Knit Picks Felici is softer than the Opal, but those are the slightly softer side, and all the others are quite toothy yarns. So hopefully that's a nice little summary of the wear of Adam's socks that he's been wearing. I tend to wear mine either around the house or less often, so it's not as easy to assess the durability of the yarns. But hopefully you find it a nice, interesting summary of how sock yarns wear in terms of commercial sock yarns. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye!